Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us. My name is Claire, and I'm a contract librarian here on assignment with NOAA Central Library, and I'll be your host this afternoon. This seminar series is offered through the NOAA Central Library Seminar Program, which provides an educational forum for the presentation of ideas, research updates, and news in support of NOAA's mission. Before we start, I have a few technical tips for attendees. Just so you're aware, you are muted and you are not able to unmute. However, if you have a question, you can type it into the question panel and those will be addressed. If you are having any audio or visual issues, if you can't hear the speaker or see the slides, please try logging off and logging back on. That tends to solve most issues in GoToWebinar. And as a reminder, this is being recorded. If you'd like to revisit this seminar or view previous seminars, you can find them on our YouTube channel. Now I'm going to turn it over to Kiana, who's going to get the presentation started.
Greetings. My name is Kiana Campbell, and I am the Veteran and Disability Employment Program Manager from the Office of Human Capital Services Talent Acquisition Branch. I would like to take this opportunity to welcome you to Series 3 of the Library Series. We would like to thank you for taking the time to attend today's session. You play an important role as hiring managers, HR liaisons, and DEIA champions in fulfilling NOAA's mission while pushing workforce diversity through the various hiring mechanisms. Today, I'm joined by colleagues from the Office of Human Capital Services, Christopher Barron, the Pathways Program Manager, and Alicia Sims-Reynolds, the HR Business Advisor. Next slide. Today, we are highlighting session 3, which is early to mid-level career recruitment, and there will be 2 sessions following this one. Next slide. Today's goal is to empower you to use the hiring mechanisms more effectively. We plan to accomplish this by showcasing various hiring mechanisms, understanding the things you should consider, and demonstrate how these authorities can be used in the test environment. This session is focused around early and mid-career, those thinking of how best to use early and mid-career opportunities that flow into the pipeline of candidates. We will be discussing the hiring authorities today in relationship to decision gates. Today's program highlights includes Pathways, recent graduates, PMFs, Veterans and Disabilities, CCA, Schedule AR, and Sea Grant CNAUS. To assist us with the process, Chris will share an example of a decision gate. Chris, take it away.
Thank you, Kiana. So when we're using various hiring authorities, choosing a specific hiring authority is just like picking out clothes for an event. So I have an analogy of what that looks like. You have been invited to dinner with friends that you haven't seen in a while. You need to determine what outfit to wear to the outing. You have many choices to make. Do you want to wear pants? Do you want to wear a dress? If the restaurant is cold, should I bring a jacket? Should I wear boots or should I wear flats? What color should I wear? These types of questions, which we consider decision gates, will eventually guide your selection on what outfit you actually select. Effective use of hiring mechanisms is similarly guided by decision gates. The conversation starts with thinking of the competencies you need, then dives into these gates.
Understanding key decision gates. As a manager is making a decision, this is a great starting point. Decisions begin with competency needs and then an assessment of business considerations. For example, all of these hiring mechanisms discussed today will require your office to have an available billet. What are some of the decision gates to consider when utilizing these hiring authorities? Decide on your competency needs, then consider your business constraints. Do you have a short or a long time need? What is the grade level for the position that you are trying to fill? Is there a requirement to post the position? Are there targeted candidates pool? And what type of work is required in the position? Does the position entail operational or technical work? What is the position? Does it require developmental work that will prepare the candidate for future leadership positions? Does anyone at this time have any questions regarding these deciding factors? I don't see any questions. Today, we will discuss hiring authorities for early and mid-career opportunities. Chris, take it away.
Next slide. Thank you, Kiana. So I will go through the specific pathways, programs, authorities for early and mid-year career hiring. But before I do that, I want you to take a look at this table. So there are decision gates that you should consider when determining which authority best fits your need. Your primary decision gates are, do you have a short or long-term mission need? But your first driver is, what are your competency needs? But what is the grade level of the position you are filling? The recent graduate program limits the grade level for administrative positions up to the GS-9 grade level or equivalent pay band. You do have the option to hire up to the GS-12 grade level for scientific positions. Under the PMF program, you must appoint at least at the GS-9 grade level, but you do have the option to hire up to the GS-12 grade level. So what candidate pools are you targeting? Are you seeking individuals that only have a graduate degree, or are you open to considering an undergraduate candidate? The PMF program specifically targets graduate level candidates. Under the recent graduates program, you would have the option to recruit at the undergraduate or graduate level based on the advertised grade of the position. And finally, what is the type of work the candidate would handle? Is it project or task-based? Under the recent graduates program, the duties can be operational or technical. Under the PMF program, the duties of the position should include policy and leadership development. In the following slides, I'll provide you information on the two mid-career components that can assist you in determining which program best fits your needs. Next slide. The first component is the Recent Graduates Hiring Authority. The Recent Graduates Program is a one-year developmental program. It is a competitive hiring authority that targets individuals that have completed a degree within the past 2 years of the closing date of the vacancy announcement. Candidates must apply for a recent graduate opportunity through USA Jobs. Veterans preference is applicable in the selection process. After completion of the one-year developmental program, the participant may be converted to a permanent or term position within the agency. Next slide, please. Some general program guidance on the recent graduates programs. Agencies may advertise recent graduates administrative positions up to the GS-9 grade level or equivalent pay band. You do have the option to hire in up to the GS-12 grade level for your scientific positions. The positions must have an established career ladder identified in the vacancy announcements. Recent graduate announcements cannot be advertised at the full performance grade level. It is a one-year developmental program where certain requirements must be met. Candidates must be placed on an IDP, assigned a mentor, complete 40 hours of interactive training, and must sign a Pathways participant agreement. They may be converted to a permanent or term position upon completion of the one-year developmental period. Conversions to permanent or term positions must be approved by the NOAA Pathways Programs Manager. Next slide. So just to provide you a success story on how NOAA utilizes the Recent Graduates Program, the National Ocean Service utilizes the Pathways Program's Recent Graduates Hiring Authority to appoint cartographers. They have used this as one of their primary authorities to increase their entry-level cartographer positions. The Recent Graduate Program provides these entry-level cartographers with career ladders to senior level positions. So before I move on to the PMF program, I would like to take a pause point for any questions regarding the recent graduates program. Do we have any questions?
Nope, keep going. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, moving on to the second component of Pathways programs is the Presidential Management Fellows Program. The PMF program is the federal government's leadership development program that has been in place for over 30 years. This program is managed by the Office of Personnel Management and is designed to attract highly qualified candidates with advanced degrees. This is a 2-year developmental program that requires intensive training and professional leadership development. The PMF program offers non-competitive conversion to a permanent or term position once the 2-year developmental period is completed and the PMF's conversion is approved by the agency's Executive Resources Board. Next slide, please. So the requirements of the PMF program. Some of the basic requirements that must be met when a PMF is hired is that they must be placed on an official individual development plan. They must complete a total of 160 hours within the 2-year developmental period. They must complete all agency mandatory training, and they must meet other PMF program requirements as outlined in the PMF Pathways Programs Agreement. Once all requirements have been met, the PMF is eligible for non-competitive conversion to a permanent or term position within the agency. Next slide. So here I want to provide you with, based on the information that I've provided you, I have a training scenario for you. So Richard supervises a team of client scientists. Julia, an expert in computer coding and analyzing environmental data, will become retirement eligible in the next 3 years. She is already indicating her wishes to head south for the Florida life the first chance she can get. Richard knows that Julia loves to mentor and train young talent. Richard also knows that climate science will continue to be a priority mission area for NOAA for years to come. Which authority should Richard consider for replacing Julia? And you can place your answers in the chat box. So did we get any answers, Kiana? Don't see anything on my side. Okay, so the correct answer for this scenario is the
Just give him a second. Wait a minute.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I see some responses in the questions box. People are saying recent graduate PMF pathways.
Perfect. So the correct answer for this scenario is the recent graduates program. The recent graduates program would be the best hiring authority to use because of the technical and operational duties of this position. The PMF program would probably not be a good fit because that authority is used to develop individuals for a future leadership position within the agency. So note that in this case, Richard is effectively using the recent graduates program for succession planning. He will be able to hire a lower cost junior employee who can add cutting edge technology skills to the team while learning under Julia. Are there any questions regarding this scenario?
I don't see any.
Any questions? Okay, if there's no further questions, I will turn the session over to Ms. Kiana Campbell, who will discuss special authorities for veterans and individuals with disabilities. Ms. Campbell?
Thank you, Chris. I'd like to talk about the Individuals with Disabilities Schedule AU hiring authority. Overall, NOAA does a really good job at obtaining talent from this pool of applicants. We've been able to place several candidates in admin roles of all grade levels. This program may be used to successfully fill positions that are permanent, temporary, or term. You may consider using a temporary appointment to fill a short-term need to complete a project, or perhaps you'll be losing an employee to active duty. You may use this authority to fill in for the short-term need. This would allow the office work to continue while the employee is away on active duty. And once he returns, you may terminate the temporary employee and allow the service member to return to work. This does require a 2-year trial period for employees who are placed in a permanent assignment, and there is no automatic conversion to career or career conditional appointment. Next slide, please. The next slide actually covers all of the veterans hiring authorities. It involves the 30% or more disabled veterans, Veterans Recruitment Act, and military spouse appointments. The one note that you would want to make, and the difference between these appointments, is that the veterans recruitment appointment cannot be used to fill an appointment greater than the GS-11 or equivalent upon appointment. It may be used to promote people to higher grade levels. However, it can't be used at the appointment. They can all be used to fill temporary term or permanent appointments. And any type of work would be project-specific task. They could use any of these types of work. Next slide, please. So we wanted to highlight a veterans hiring success story. The National Marine Fisheries Service Office of Law Enforcement has been an avid supporter of veteran hiring programs using 30% or more in VRA to fill many of their enforcement officer positions. So we'd like to take this time to thank OLE for being a big supporter of our programs. Next slide, please. Finally, I'll bring you to my training scenario. Marge would like to fill several term positions in her office using veterans, with veterans from the local military base. All of the positions are GS-12 and above. Which hiring authorities should she consider? So while you guys are typing into the chat box, I'll give you a few minutes, or a few seconds, see what we come up with. So I see a 30% one. So actually the 30% one is a great one. In addition to that, she could also use the Schedule AU, individuals with disabilities, because there's no grade level limit for that one. And so she could also, so those are two in which she could consider for that. If she wanted to clear CTAP and ICTAP, she could also use the spousal appointment as well. So next, Alicia is coming up to discuss special hiring authorities for NOAA-sponsored students and alumni. Alicia, take it away.
Thank you, Kiana. While you might have been familiar with the authorities you heard from Chris and Kiana, these next three might be new for you. The Conservation Corps Act DHA, Sea Grant DHA, and Schedule AR have all been approved for usage within the last 3 years. Although they are new, they are quickly gaining traction with hiring managers. This decision gate chart is a great reference to highlight the basics of each authority. The CCA and Sea Grant DHA are for permanent positions, while Schedule AR appointments are restricted to 1 to 4 years. Only CCA has a limitation to the hiring grade and for the type of work that is eligible for the authority. Authorized in November 2019, the Conservation Corps Act DHA applies to positions that are related to National Marine Sanctuary System, coral reefs, and other coastal estuary and marine habitats and other land and facilities. However, this does not mean that only professional or technical positions are eligible. Any position in a line office is eligible because they are directly or indirectly supporting this work. For staff offices, further evaluation would need to be done to determine if a position is eligible. These are only for permanent positions, and the higher grade is at the GS 5, 7, 9, or 11 level or CAPS equivalent. There is no limitation for the full performance grade. To be eligible, the applicant must have completed an internship or fellowship from an approved eligible program and subsequently received their degree within the last 2 years. Meet any OPM qualification standards for education and experience and any other qualification requirements for the position. The eligibility expires 2 years after the graduation date. Currently, NOAA has approved 8 programs for CCA eligibility. They are the Jose Serrano Educational Partnership Program, Noah Hollings Undergraduate Scholarship, Internships in Marine Geography, the Knaus Fellowship, Margaret A. Davidson Graduation Fellowship, the La Pinta NOAA Internship Program, Fisheries Sea Grant Population Dynamics Fellowship, and Woods Hole Partnership Education Program. Using this authority, if a manager had a La Pinta or EPP intern, you'd be able to non-competitively hire that former intern, only requiring that a 5-day announcement be posted to clear for ICTAP, CTAP, verifying that they're a displaced federal employee. Your business advisor will be able to advise you through the process of this hiring method. Next slide, please. The National Sea Grant Direct Hire is the most recent authority approved in May 2021. This authority applies to all permanent positions with no limit on the hiring grade. For an applicant to be eligible, they must have earned a graduate or postgraduate degree in a field related to ocean, coastal, and Great Lakes resources or policy from an accredited institution. They successfully completed a Knaus Fellowship with any agency and meet the OPM qualification standards and any other qualification requirements for the position being appointed. This authority expires 2 years after the fellowship completion date. As you might have noticed, the Knaus Fellows can be eligible for both the Sea Grant and the CCA DHA. Their graduation date depends on if they are eligible for both authorities or just the Sea Grant. Next slide, please. Authorized in November 2020, Schedule AR is the only one of the 3 that's restricted to a time-limited appointment, 1 to 4 years in the accepted service. Beneficially, like Sea Grant, there is no limitation on the type of work or for the higher grade. However, this appointment does not provide non-competitive conversion rights to a competitive position or new accepted service position. Eligibility is restricted to positions established in supportive fellowships and similar programs that are filled from limited applicant pools. The fellowship/programs included are internship or fellowship programs that provide developmental or professional experiences to individuals who have completed their formal education, training and associate programs, professional/industry exchange programs, residency programs, and programs that require a period of government service. Most used in NOAA right now are fellows or interns that come from the internships or fellowship programs or professional/industry exchange programs. Like the other authorities, the applicant must meet OPM qualification standards and any other qualification requirements for the position being appointed. Now, while this authority might seem that it's not ideal for candidates because it's not permanent, it still is. It is beneficial for offices for when they don't know if the position will be permanent due to funding or the type of work being performed. And it works for the applicants because although it's not permanent, it still allows them to have a federal job and receive salary and full benefits. And most importantly, it allows them to gain specialized experience that will allow them to be qualified for a regular DE or DHA announcement. Next slide, please. Line offices across NOAA have utilized these authorities, allowing them to benefit from NOAA's investment and the NOAA experience and knowledge that these former students have gained. Most importantly, tapping into the CCA hiring pool has allowed managers to access a diverse candidate pool to grow their workforce with recent graduates. Fisheries and Weather Service each have an internship program approved, and additional centers within the line offices are revising and developing programs that can be eligible for the CCA authority that will help build greater diverse applicant pools. Also, CSD within OHCS is continuously working with the Office of Education to bring available NOAA positions to the attention of these candidates and provide training to the interns and fellows on how to best utilize these authorities. Next slide, please. So now this is your final training scenario. So Stu is a manager who would like to hire a former Canals Fellow, Lisa, into a vacant CA 343 Band 3 position. Lisa graduated with her MS in 2019 and started her Canals Fellowship in 2020 and it ended in 2021. Which special hiring authority should Stu use to hire Lisa? And you can put your responses in the chat.
I see a C grant, Alicia.
Yes, and yes, that is correct. It is the Sea Grant Canals Fellowship. And the reason that it is the Sea Grant is because while the Canals Fellows are eligible for CCA and Canals, Lisa is only eligible for the Canals because she graduated before starting her fellowship. So that is the main thing to point out in this scenario as to why she's not eligible for CCA. So now I will turn it back over to Kiana for final thoughts.
Thanks, Alicia. I have a couple questions. Someone put in, Alicia, is it possible to talk about CAPS pay banding for programs where you refer to the GS9 and or GS11 equivalent? ZA-ZP band 2 is ZS 7 through 10 and band 3 is GS 11 through 12. With that said, do programs allow for both band 2 or 3 as appropriate and salary to be set anywhere within the band or bands? Okay, that was a long question. Did you get it?
I did. I see it, yes. Okay. So yes, you can set pay anywhere within both of those bands because the band 3 is equivalent to the 11, the band 3 is equivalent to 11, 12, that is fine. You can set pay anywhere in that.
Okay, and then there's one for me. Can an internal candidate use the VRA hiring authority? Yes, they can. There's no limit to the amount of times that they could use the VRA authority. However, if they are currently in the competitive service, which means they are a career or career conditional appointment, they would be converted out to the VRA appointment. So they would go into an accepted service appointment. Let me see what else. Can you speak about direct hire authorities in more detail? What goes into deciding if a position can be direct hire? Alicia.
Yeah, so it goes back to what type of work is for the position. So with the CCA authority, it's related to marine sanctuary system, coral reefs, and other coastal estuarine and marine habitats and other land and facilities. So the simplified way of saying this is that this is NOAA. This is like basically relates to the core work that NOAA does. So that's why I said any line office, that is their core work. So any position that's in a line office is going to be allowed because they are either directly doing that work or they are supporting the direct work of that. However, if you're in a staff office, not all staff offices support that exact work. So it will depend on the exact position. So there is no blanket no or yes for the staff offices. It's just going to depend, and you can work with your business advisor to look at your PD, the position that you have, to see if it will be eligible for that. But then for the Sea Grant and the Schedule AR, it's basically any position. There is no limit. It's just with the canals, the eligibility is more with the applicant and what their degree is in. And then the Schedule AR, it's more of, is it something that works with the fellow? Is it in relationship to their degree? Or like we have the professional/industry exchange programs, we have IT fellows that were brought under Schedule AR because they have their IT degree and they're working with Partner for Publishing Services to find an IT position in the federal government. So it would just depend on where they're coming from, if the position in your office relates to that. Hopefully that answered your question. If not, you can send me an email. We can have a conversation to discuss more in detail, or you can always reach out to your business advisor.
Okay, so there's another one. How do you know if Schedule A can be used to hire for a position? Does it have to be listed in the announcement? So are all Schedule A positions considered to be direct hire positions?
So I don't know if you're asking that because I talked about Schedule AR, but then Kiana had the Schedule A for disabilities. So they're two separate, two totally separate things. So it really depends, I feel like. Oh, so Schedule
AU. So Schedule AU, if the position is announced, then it would say that it's open to individuals with disabilities. However, Schedule AU positions do not have to be announced on USA Jobs. Hope that helped. So the question about the direct hire piece, does that go with Schedule AU or Schedule AR? Because I'm assuming that it goes with Schedule ARA because it doesn't, direct hire doesn't apply to Schedule AU.
Or if you're asking if Schedule AU kind of appointments are direct hire, no. They don't have to be, because like Kiana said, you can bring them on non-competitively because it's through their disability, not like the position or where they came from.
Are there other questions that we missed or we need to offer some more? How long does this process take?
So for the direct hire, I can speak, if you know the fellow or intern that you're wanting, it's a very quick process. Again, your business advisor can just remind you of it, but it's opening a RAS case, so the recruitment case, and you're uploading your usual recruitment documents of your PD, the PD documents, you need the applicant's resume, you need their letter that's verifying that they're eligible because they successfully completed their program, and unofficial transcripts. YRCI is very quick with pulling cases lately and starting to work on them. And like I said, for them, you need to have a 5-day announcement to ensure that there's no displaced federal employees. However, they might not need to post an announcement because they can look in the system and see if there was an announcement that was that series, the grade, and your location. And if so, if it was in the last 60 days, they'll use that. Otherwise, it's a 5-day announcement. So really from the time that you put in the case to the time that you can get to the tentative job offer, it could be a month. So it's pretty quick. And I mean, a month too is probably a long, because it's still very quick. And then I'll let Kiana and Chris talk about the others.
So for my process, the only one that requires public notice to USA Job to clear CTAP and ICTAP is the military spouse appointment. So that's probably going to be along the same timeline. The other program, Schedule AU, individuals with disability, in addition to 30% or more or VRA, it kind of depends on how fast managers move through. Typically speaking, either they have candidates that they've already sourced through, or I provide them with candidates and they schedule interviews. So that process tends to move relatively quickly. It just depends on how long it takes the candidate to clear security if that's necessary. Chris, did you want to speak to the length of time for your particular programs?
So generally with pathways, because it is a more formal process in getting candidates for all 3 programs, I'll say for the recent grads and the intern program, you have to have a posted job on USA Jobs. So the same time frame that it takes for you to get a competitive service position posted, typically it's going to take the same amount of time for an intern or a recent graduate's position. Now, the difference is with the PMF program, I post those opportunities on OPM's talent acquisition system. So you don't have a posting on USA Jobs. So typically, once I receive a completed package with all of the documents I need to post a position, I usually have a 2 to 3 day turnaround to have that announcement posted. And then we determine how long the vacancy will be open, which is usually a minimum of 5 days. Once the announcement closes, I issue the cert. So we're still talking about a month turnaround time if you utilize the PMF program. With the interns and recent graduates, it may be a couple of months because you have to wait in line for your USA Jobs announcement to get posted by YRCI.
I think we answered all the questions in the chat box. If there are other questions or we weren't clear, please feel free to post more stuff, or if you want to reach out to any of us directly, we are certainly happy to be able to post anything. Okay, I see something. If a Schedule A doesn't have to be posted, how would candidates know about them? So generally speaking, since the position does not have to be posted, then the managers would either reach out directly to their business advisor or reach out to me to ask for candidates, or look through the USA Jobs Agency talent portal to search for applicants. So there's no public notice posting where candidates can go and sort of look to see what opportunities are available. I hope that answered what you were. Okay, got it, thanks. Okay, hopefully I didn't miss anyone's questions. I really tried to be good about monitoring the chat box. So if I did, please feel free to reach out like I mentioned. At this point, we'd like to say thank you and let you know that if you need additional information, the Consulting Services Division within the Office of Human Capital Services looks forward to better assessing your labor needs. And they actually start with a focus on competencies and sort of drive you through. They're actually here to walk you through that sort of decision tree that we've been talking about the whole time. So your business advisors are actually your initial point of contact. I'd like to take this opportunity to, looking ahead on September 22nd, we will dedicate a session towards how we can effectively grow our current pool from current employees, as well as access external talent to drive diverse recruitment to senior level positions. Finally, on October 6th, we'll have a special session devoted to no-cost internships specifically for veterans. In closing, we appreciate your time, interest, and participation in these sessions. NOAA's mission is predicated upon obtaining a highly skilled workforce of STEM and business professionals who can drive the agency's mission. We obtain the best workforce by ensuring we are recruiting diverse talent at all levels. As hiring officials and managers, HR liaisons, and DEIA champions, you have the power to drive this effort. We thank you for stepping up to the challenge and hope you will use both the lessons learned today and continue engagement with OHCS to ensure NOAA meets its workforce diversity goals. And with that said, we thank you again for your time and attention. And oh, wait, sorry, before I cut off, I see something. Does NOAA have outreach to high schools and universities to inform / recruit students? Chris?
Absolutely. We currently utilize the Handshake platform to notify colleges and universities of our pathways opportunities. We can also, when you post your opportunity, if you notify the talent acquisition branch of your recruitment needs, we can actually target specific colleges and universities through the Handshake platform to ensure that your vacancy gets noticed at these colleges and universities.
Okay, I really think that's the last question or comment this time. Once again, we truly appreciate your attendance and engagement in this session, and look forward to continuing the conversation with you guys. Wait a minute. Nope, spoke too soon. Somebody came back through. Is there a process similar to Schedule A Kiana just described for veterans where hiring managers search the database? Absolutely. The USA Jobs talent portal actually has candidates of all kinds, federal employees, non-federal employees, who actually go through and search and actually make their resume searchable themselves. And then managers have the option to look through. Typically, I or the business advisor will assist them in that particular search to be able to locate candidates. So not just individuals with disabilities. We will also use it for veterans. We will also use it for positions who are hard to fill, to let them know that we have something coming down the pipeline. So yeah, there are a pool as well. In addition, for veterans specifically, we have relationships with a lot of the military bases. If there's certain occupations that offices look for regularly to try to get those transition service members to come and join NOAA's team. Okay, I think I answered that. I think I said thank you. Okay. So with that being said, if there's anything else, I'll leave a few more seconds before I say, okay, we're done, just to see if someone has any other final thoughts that we should consider or discuss. Okay, I think that's it. We just ask that if you guys have more conversations or input that you'd like to share with us, please feel free to reach out to us. And these are shared on the library's YouTube channel, so feel free to drive other people there too for sort of some foundational information. But we're more than happy to answer any one-on-one questions specifically from you guys. So once again, thank you and enjoy the rest of your day. See you soon.